I want you to see the aftermath of rape. This is it. This is what I struggle with. The man I love, I'm terrified of because every time I close my eyes, I see the men who raped me. I see the man who raped me when I was 9 immediately. He's always the first one. And that's really, really hard to deal with. And I'm being incredibly vulnerable right now, expressing and showing all this to you. But I want the world to see what this does. It's destructive, it's disgusting, it's vile, it's evil, and it's a sin. And I don't consent. I did not consent. I never consented. I wanted to save myself from my husband. Hi, I'm Molly Sky Brown, and welcome to another episode of Let's Be Frank with me, your host, Molly Sky Brown. Are you digging the background? Are you loving it? It's a little weird, huh? I think it's kind of cool. So this is, some of the Zoom technology. I know it's a little ghosty. If you're listening to the podcast, you're probably going, what is happening right now? But the video podcast version of this, the full version on the YouTubes, Frank the Messiah under Molly Sky Brown, but I think it's under actually Molly Beaton. I need to upgrade that or update that, but my Gmail won't let me. So that's what it's under for now if you're having trouble finding it. But the links are all in the descriptions. But anyway, if you're listening to the podcast and not the show on the YouTubes, then you're not seeing the cool background. The virtual background feature that Zoom has. And the reason I'm using it is because it has the built-in like makeup feature as well of a soft filter. And I adore that. It's one less step of making myself look pretty enough for all you folks, all you fine people. Because on the Facebook Live and on StreamYard, where I have these graphics in StreamYard, there's no filter and I look kind of rough. So I'm digging this background. I think it's really cute. I think it's really funny too. Look at that. I'm like, ooh, coming through the veil. I think it's fitting. I think it works. So I've got my Healy on, and today's topic is really intense. Like I woke up this morning with massive panic attacks. I woke up this morning with massive panic attacks, and I had to teach today too. So I was teaching manifesting to 400,000 women in a Facebook group that I love doing every Saturday at 1:30 p.m. in the Women Helping Women online, Women Helping Women membership group. There's like 400,000 women in there. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. And I was teaching in there today and had a blast. It was so much fun. And and then I knew I had to record this podcast right afterwards. And boy, did I procrastinate all day long. Was feeling a little nervous. So what I did was I ended up running this finally. I kept feeling that guy, my buddy, Frank, saying, calm down, relax, take a deep breath. You're divinely protected. You're divinely guided. We need you to do this. And I'm like, super duper, thank you. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons I'm like making sure this stuff's here and my buddy's here in the visual for added protection and a layer of protection, because this particular episode, I'm going to tell on someone, and her name is Ghislaine Maxwell. And I think you've heard of her. She's been in the media a bit. Jeffrey Epstein's woman. Yeah. That bitch tried to recruit me from my place of employment when I was 14, 15 years old. It all just came back to me recently when I put two and two together of, oh yeah, that was that lady. So I'm going to tell that story in a few minutes. And then one of the other things I want to talk about as well of the theme of the topic for this show is, so I preluded it to in my last episode of just me of, that's my noises on my phone. So I preluded it in the last episode of just me of this episode addressing bullies and anyone bullying, even if you're an adult and you're still getting bullied on Facebook, like you don't feel like you can share your dreams and your accomplishments and your goals without someone telling you to shut up or whatever, like block them. Don't let them in your auric field. Don't let them in your environment. You know, as children, we had a hard time ignoring the bullies when they're in school and in our faces all the time. And I remember I had a lot of bullies every school I went to, and it got worse and worse and worse in high school the more I stepped out of my comfort zone, because by high school I was modeling, I was in commercials that were literally airing on TV in my community, I was on the TV show Sightings. My brother and I did the intro to that when I was like 15 years old. Also, it was one of the first breaks we got, I guess, in the gigs, in the showbiz. We did and we're still in them. I mean, if you go and watch the old episodes, that's so weird how I just disappear. If you go and watch the old episodes on YouTube for Sightings, there's a bunch of them that I'm like, oh my gosh, there's me in the control room, there's me walking around, there's me hanging out. Well, not really walking around. I sat down and just kind of hung out there. My brother walked around, he was walking around all over the place in the backgrounds there, but it was so fun. And I remember in high school being on a debate tournament, and we were in a hotel in Tampa. And I remember we were all sitting in the teacher's room. We were hanging out in there, the whole debate team that was in the tournament with me. We were sitting there watching TV, and Sightings came on, and I was like, oh wow, that's weird, I'm in this. And then I came on the screen, and everyone was like, what is happening right now? And I remember some of them thought it was really, really cool, and some of them just like didn't say anything. And I was like, fuck you. Sorry, I trigger you by doing the things. I'm so over it now. So that's what I want to teach on this episode of how to eat your bully's energy, how to eat the hate that they're feeding you, how to eat the jealousy, how to ride that shit to the finish line, and how to use spite as fuel. You know, always be working for the glory of God, always be working for God and with the divine in mind, and you're on the right path. But then when people send you hate, I mean, there's plenty of scripture in the Bible where Jesus even talks about leaving your family, and if your parents have to hate you and vice versa, to follow the will of God, then he's like, I get that. he experienced the same. And you have to choose God. But you have to know who God is before you can choose him. Don't be choosing some freaking crazy ass version of God, because holy shit, can you use some discernment first before making a damn decision? So Jesus came to say, hey, God is love. And if you're choosing anything but love, you're not choosing God. So there, mind shattering, so fucking easy. There I go with the cursing, literally 2 minutes in the door. Hi, I'm Molly. So going back to eating your bully's energy. So that was one of the motivating factors of doing things. So at first it would be, my mom would sign me up for something, and I mean, she was an amazing agent. And then I worked at a recording studio right after Ghislaine tried to, Ghislaine, I don't know how to say her disgusting name. I have the utmost sympathy and pity for her, though, because I'm sure she had a lot of grooming in her own childhood to normalize such a thing. Yeah, so that's my accusation. That's my intuitive hit. But aside from that, after I worked at the gym that she tried to steal me from and human traffic me from, I worked at a recording studio. And when I worked at the recording studio, oh my gosh, it was so much fun. It was really, 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 really cool. But that was when what the fuck was I just talking about? I hate when I do that. So much information comes in and I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it. But I got to tell the stories. About working at the recording studio, I don't know. Before I was working at the recording studio, I was working at that gym. And I don't know why I even mentioned the recording studio. I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, other than I had a song come out when I was in high school also. That was a lot of fun. I remember my girlfriend, my best friend in high school, was also a performer, and she didn't go to our school. She went to the performing arts school. So it was normal for her to be a badass performer, being in the paper and doing the cool shit, whereas I was bullied. And I ate in the bathroom. I ate my lunch in the bathroom. People wanted to fight me all the time. It was insanity. It was bonkers. And that was public high school. And before that was, Catholic school, which they were just catty bitches in Catholic school. So different energy, but still just holy fuck aggressiveness. I'm just uncomfortable. I always just did not feel safe, and I felt scared, and I just did not like all of those feelings. in the locations that I was at. So, we'd go to new schools, we'd go to new locations and new beginnings and stuff like that. We moved around a lot. So I was nervous to start this episode today. It was really not avoiding it because I'm excited to talk about it. I'm happy to share the story because I would like to aid in the prosecution of showing consistency in her phishing tactics by someone she didn't get. And I'll get to why she didn't get me, because it wasn't because I wasn't excited about it. Like, oh my gosh, she painted quite a picture. Let me tell you. So as far as what I was going to say about, eating bullies' energies, I mean, I guess that's what I was getting. It was the recording studios. I was in the paper all the time once. Oh, that's the recording studio tie-in. I was like, what the fuck were they talking about the recording studio for? The only reason my mom knew about a lot of the things going on for me to audition for was because I worked at a recording studio after the gym, and after a couple restaurants as well too. And they had a membership to Backstage. Backstage is still a thing. It's casting calls. It's all production. It's all Hollywood production, and not just Hollywood. I mean, production's everywhere. I'm producing from my home. So it's just a list of all the productions within your area, within metropolitan areas, within certain demographics. And now it's all virtual. You can go to backstage.com, and gosh, I'm giving a lot of hints away and a lot of software and secrets away. So I'll have to get some affiliate links from all of them because I'm happy to do it. I love all the content that I'm sharing. I'm happy to share it. So she would get a subscription, my boss's subscription to Backstage, after he would cull it for, recording opportunities, recording artists that he could reach out to. And he advertised in it as well. So we would get the episode, or we would get why is it doing that? Don't do that. Stop it. So he would get the catalog, or he would get that newspaper thing, and then my mom would go through it, and then we would go on auditions. And I think that's where she found sightings and a bunch of the other things that we were doing and auditioning for as well. And I remember being so bullied in school about it all. People would say, oh, you think you're all that. And it's like, is that a problem that I think I'm all that? Like, I wish you thought you were all that. My family raised me to think I'm all of that, and my family is all that, and a bag of chips. So it was really triggering to people that I had a lot of confidence, and I had a lot of confidence because I had incredibly confident parents, very smart parents. I had parents who kind of really knew who they were, even though they each had their own issues, and they still do. They're human, and their humanness. And I mean, one of them's not human anymore. He's literally dead, and he still has issues. So, and that's what we work through the veil. So, I mean, there's a lot of complex layers going on here. So give yourself a lot of grace. But I had their approval. I had their encouragement. Gosh, my phone needs to be quiet. Telegram app is out of control. They really encouraged a lot from my mom, or my siblings and my brothers and I. And then once I was performing and stuff, it was very encouraged. And then on top of that, I was getting good feedback by obviously not my peers. I was getting good feedback by higher ups and people in charge, and that's where I had the biggest problem with, because a lot of these men want to offer opportunities and help, and I want to hook you up with so-and-so, and then literally it leads to rape. It leads to them just having sex with you, and it's so quick that you're like, whoa, I don't know what just happened. And I've had that happen before. I've had that happen more times than I'd like to admit. And it's sad that I even have to admit it to myself. I had to come to terms with myself that I was like, wow, those are all rapes. Yeah, we need to have this talk. It's time. It's time to have this talk about rape culture and tricking a girl and moving really quickly. And first of all, women don't have orgasms very quickly. So if you're in and out, you're doing you, boo. And we're not getting anything other than a raw deal. And I doubt we're even getting dinner afterwards at this point. Because that's what happened to me. Guy tricked me into his house to see his new bed. This producer guy, when I was in college, that got me into an MTV thing. And he really liked me and asked me out. And I went out, this was our first date. First date, picks me up. And I thought we were going right to dinner. And he goes, I got to stop by my house and get something. And I'm like, okay. So we pull up at his house and he invites me in. He says it's going to be a few minutes because I was like, I'll just wait in the car. And the reason I said that was the same reason I got away from Ghislaine. I have a handicap. I have a bum hip. And now I have another bum hip. The other one's kind of gotten thrown off. But I don't want to get up. I limp. I'm in pain. And I'm usually faking that I'm not limping most of the time. And I didn't want to get out of the car. And I remember him saying, well, it's going to be a little bit, and I don't want to leave the car running or some bullshit. It was going to be 10 or 20 minutes. And I was like, what? I thought we were fucking going to dinner. So I went into his goddamn house. And I can say that because I shouldn't have gone in there. Went into his house and I tried to stay just downstairs. And then he was like, come on upstairs. I got to do some work up there really quick. I got to get something up there. And I was like, what? All right. No, yes. I don't know. I mean, what do you do? No, you're a predator. I'll wait down here and then we'll go to dinner. Like, what do you do? What accusations do you make? So stupidly, 20-year-old me follows him upstairs. He's in his 30s at least. Follows him upstairs. He goes into his bedroom, and I think his office was like tied into his bedroom. It was one of those craft style houses in Thornton Park. So smaller and older in an upscale community, whatever, that they've done whatever. So I go into his room and he shows me his new bed. And he was like, oh, I wanted to show you my new bed. And it's this disgusting, ornate king bed. Literally a king bed with like, okay, I'm going to try to make some graphics now because I'm in my weird video thing. So for the podcast, you may or may not have to get really, really imaginative in your visualization here of his bedroom. So when I walked into his bedroom, directly across from the entrance of the room to the right was a gigantic bed against the wall, and it looked like King Henry's bed. It was this huge ornate thing over. So the bed's like here, and then on the wall is this canopy, and then like the fabric that comes down over it. And it was like, it looked like a king's bed. Like it was like, oh fuck, you have a huge ego. And I was like, cool. Oh yeah. And he was like, he said something like he just paid 10,000 for it or 20,000 for it. And I was like, wow. And he was like, oh, it's historic. And I was like, yeah, it's like, it was gross. It looked gross to me. It felt gross to me. The energy of it felt gross to me. And then he was like, come over, come sit on it. I want you to see what it feels like. So fucking dumb. So fucking dumb. No, let's go to dinner. No. Come on, come over. So I stupidly sit on the bed. He's like, I want you to see. It's like really, really cool. I thought he wanted to show me the bed. See, this is what I'm talking about. Why are you tricking someone? If you think I want to have sex with you, why don't you just say, hey, you want to have sex? And I'll be like, fuck yeah. Or fuck no. And if it's fuck no, can we go to dinner first maybe? So I'm in his room and he's telling me to sit on his $20,000 king bed. And I sit on it, and within seconds, this 300-pound man is on top of me. And I'm assuming I had a dress on or skirt on, which is easy access, but I was not expecting to be raped before dinner or having sex before or after dinner. So I didn't think my attire made any difference on my date. I could have very well had pants on. Either way, I usually wore like, yoga pants even back then. Either way, they were off and he was in within seconds. And it was one of those where I was crying and I asked him to stop and he said he was almost done. And like, couldn't believe this was happening and that he was just explaining to himself, like, it's almost done and then we'll go get dinner. And it's like, who the fuck are you to think that you can just be having sex with me right now? And at this point, I was supposed to claw his eyes out, defend myself. I was way less than I weigh now, way skinnier than I am now. And he was a 300+ pound man, humongous man. And he finished, I cried, and then he felt bad that I cried. And I cried because I immediately was triggered of being raped when I was 9. That's what it felt like all over again. It looked a lot like this. And I wonder how fucking sexy that is. So then he comforted me. And then we didn't go to dinner. He said work came up, something came up, and he needed to take me home and rain check. And he took me home. First, he offered to just get me something really quick. And I said, okay, can we just drive through McDonald's? Like, I was starving at that point. I was so fucking hungry, hadn't eaten all day. I thought we were going to a nice dinner, and then to be raped and then be told that, okay, I got to take you home, you little slut. I mean, he didn't say that, but you may as fucking well. So he drove me home, and then I asked him if we could stop through a drive-through, and he made some comment about me being a model and I shouldn't be eating that stuff, even though I never did regularly eat it. It was, we don't have time for anything. You said a drive-through. Can I get a burger? Oh no, I have to have a salad. Wow. So you rape me and then you're telling me what I have for dinner. This is a fun date. Thanks for calling. So then he dropped me off. I got home. I did not put two and two together that it was rape. I thought rape was violent in a stranger. I mean, I didn't even put two and two together until I was in my 30s, that the man when I was 9 had raped me, that was rape, because I didn't know even what he did to me at the time. So I'm glad I shared that. Thank you for letting me share that. Moving into Ghislaine and meeting her is the next segment. And I want to wrap this up because I really don't want this to be a huge, long episode. I've said some very powerful things, and I want to be done for the day. Anyway, when I was 14 or 15 years old, we had moved back to Florida from California. And I had gone to private school for 8th grade in Palm Beach Gardens at the St. Clair School. And I went 1 year there, and I was babysitting all the time. I had been babysitting since I was in 5th grade. Little kids next door, I would babysit for them. So I had a ton of experience in babysitting. And my parents thought I was a very responsible child. And so they would allow me, when I was 14, 15 years old, they allowed me to get a job at the Jupiter Gym. And it was next to the movie theater in Jupiter, Florida, where I went to high school, Jupiter High School. And I went to the gym there with some girlfriends. So I guess it was high school that I'd started. So I wouldn't have been in 8th grade and been allowed to work at the gym. My parents would never have allowed that. Too young. So freshman year of high school is when I believe that I worked at Jupiter Gym. And I'm not even sure how to verify this because Jupiter Gym does not exist anymore. It is called some sort of elite Palm Beach fucking gym. I have no idea. I just looked it up today and I was like, that's a cocky name. But it's like the most elite gym in Palm Beach. And it's like, no, it's not. It was a shithole then. It's a shithole now, but you keep talking. So it's next to the Jupiter Cineplex, which that's what it's called now. It used to just be Jupiter Cobb Theater when I was a kid. But anyway, the gym was right there. And that is where all the kids from Jupiter High School would work out. And after school, we would usually go there. We'd either carpool or I'd have my mom drop me off or whatever. And I would see a bunch of kids there, and I would also exercise. And I enjoyed it. And I looked really good and worked on my fitness. And I was doing modeling and pageants at the time. So I was taking care of my body. And my mom had such a restriction on my food to keep my body looking pretty good. So the outlet was exercising when I wasn't allowed to just eat and hang out at home. We always had to be doing something. We had to be accomplishing something at all times. So I was working out at the Jupiter Gym with my girlfriends all the time and really enjoying it there and spending many, 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 many hours a week there and paying for the membership. I think I was paying for it myself, or maybe my mom was paying for it, but that's what it was. I got a free pass for the summer. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the gym. I really loved being there. I was able to release so much stress there and feel really good about myself and be among other people who were also taking care of their bodies and taking classes and interacting with friends and seeing people. And it was an opportunity to look really cute in your clothes. That shit you're not allowed to wear in school that you could totally wear to a gym or the beach or wherever you're liberated to wear whatever the hell you want to wear and look like you want to look. So I decided when my free summer was ending, I applied to their daycare. I talked to my mom into letting me work at the daycare at the gym. So when you walked in the front door of the gym, there was the greeting desk. And then to the left side was the little room, the nursery. It was drop-in care. And you could drop in, I think for an hour or something like that was included or something like that. And then they just needed to kind of tip me. And then the gym would pay me an hourly wage. And I loved it. It was the best job ever because I loved babysitting. I used to raid the fridge. The kids used to just do my hair. We'd play with toys all day long. And then we cleaned the house and we make dinner. And it was like playing house with real live children and then also getting paid. It was a fun experience. It was really, 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 really cool. And then I got to work at the Jupiter gym doing the childcare there. And we would watch Disney movies and watch, all sorts of children's movies. It was usually I'd come in and watch Little Mermaid, and it's almost 2 hours, and I would work a 4-hour shift. And with my shift, I got a free membership. So I would work I think it was even just a 2-hour shift. I don't even know if I was allowed to work all that much as a 14-year-old, but they gave me a free membership. With your employment, you got a free gym membership. So I was super duper happy. So my mom would drop me off all the time at the gym. My dad would drop me off all the time at the gym. My brother finally got a car and he would drop me off all the time at the gym. Or I think he'd sometimes go too, but I digress. Anyway, so I'm at the gym and I remember this one day I did the daycare. I would usually come in Saturday and Sunday morning. So it was just I think I worked like literally 4 hours a week. It was just Saturday and Sunday morning, or maybe even once a week for 4 hours. It was minimal. But it was so much fun. And I really, really loved it. It was an introduction to the job world at such a young age. So I remember I was done for that day with the childcare, had a great morning, wonderful time with the kids. They were so cute and, checking in and out and meeting the parents and seeing the parents again and repeat people that I'm familiar with and just really enjoying my freedom and my independence, and I'm making money and I'm young and I'm out of the house. And it felt really, really good. I felt like an adult and it was really cool. So when I was saying, when you walk into the building and there was the check-in area, and then to this side was the little nursery, you went into the room and the nursery was there. Well, when you came into the center here in the greet desk here, straight across here, there's elliptical stair machines. I think it was an elliptical that I was on because I couldn't do impact. So it wasn't running. I wouldn't have been on the treadmill. It was just, I think it was the elliptical was what I was on, not a stair machine, because again, the lifting of the legs was too hard on the joint. So I even remember what freaking machine I was on. That's how much I remember this bitch. So I was on the elliptical machine towards the window. And I remember I was in my cute little spandex outfit, looking how I wanted to look, looking gorgeous, looking young and beautiful and healthy body, and very proud of how I looked and healthy. And I think I was reading like a V.C. Andrews books. I used to like those V.C. Andrews books, all the family drama and the crazy secrets. I really understood, and I was like, yeah, I kind of understand a lot of these secrets. What are you doing about them? And it would be like by counseling. But when they would kill them, I was like, no, that's not going to work. I'm not going to do that. So I'm on the elliptical, reading my V.C. Andrews book, minding my own business. And I see this woman walk by. So there's windows all here. And people are constantly walking by because the movie theater is right down the street. And so is Bell's. Bell's was in this plaza too. It still freaking is. And so people are walking by and I'm not paying attention. I'm not looking every time someone walks by because it's constantly people are walking by. Then I finally see this one woman walk by. I'm trying to remember exactly what she was even wearing too. I wish I could. I wonder if I went through hypnosis, I could probably remember what she was wearing. So she walks by and I remember she took a double take and stopped and looked at me and then walked on again and then walked into the front door, and I watched her, and then she walked in the front door and walked up to that little hub area and talked to them, leaned over the counter to talk to them. And I was like, the way she looked at me, I was like, what is she doing? And then she was talking to the counter, didn't walk over to me right away. And I was like, oh, maybe she's asking for a gym membership. I just kind of tuned her out. I was going to go back to my book, but then she pointed to me and walked over to me. And I'm guessing that she had told the front desk, I don't have a membership, and I just want to talk to her really quick, and pointed over to me. And then she walked over to me, and I'm on my treadmill and the elliptical, and she is walking straight towards me. And there's no one around me. So I know she's walking to me. There's no one in this area. And she walks over and hands me her business card. And she says, "You're beautiful. Have you ever thought about modeling?" And I was, thanks. Thanks, thank you. Oh, that's sweet. And I told her candidly, yeah, I have done some modeling, but she was gushing it on really, really thick right away. And I was just kind of listening. So she was like, "Have you ever done any modeling? You're so beautiful." And I said, yeah, I've done some modeling. I've done modeling my whole life, and pageants and stuff like that. And she goes, she just started painting a picture. She was like, "I could get you so much work if you were interested." She's like, "Give me a call." She made it really, 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 really quick. Like she was in and out. Like she was like, I've got to go. I'm on my way to a meeting, but I saw you in the window and I just had to stop in. I think you're exquisite. I think you're beautiful. I think you do it really well. I have international clients that need models. And she was painting a picture of like runway model. And then she said something about massages and international and flying all over and work all over and blah, 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 blah. And at first I was like, a little bit of excitement bubbled up, but then I was like, dude, I am borderline crippled. There is no way you're flying my ass all over the place when like major modeling scouts that I've seen when I was younger all told me, no, you're not model material. You're not runway model material. You are not a model. And I was, like, fuck you. Who the fuck do you think you are? And at the same time, kind of relieved because I didn't want to do the runway stuff. I wanted to do more of commercials and ads or acting, performing, singing. It was way more than just, I'm pretty and I'm walking like a horse in heels and clomp, clomp, clomp down a stage in a little mini skirt, starting Coke in the back. Like, I know what models do. I've seen into their world enough. And that's a speculation on, modeling. That's not all the models, but it's a little bit of them. So anyway, so I kind of just took her card and was like, yeah, I'll call you. I acted like I was really interested because I wasn't going to get into a conversation with her about, no, I'm handicapped and I don't think it's a good fit, because I'm sure she'd be like, oh, we, work with the American Disabilities Act and we work with models that have disabilities too. And I've read horror stories of what they do to trafficked children that do have disabilities. It's literally free game. Do whatever the hell you want. They're not real. They're not human. They're not real. And that's really fucking scary. So something was watching over me that day. And, I used to sit there and curse God for crippling me. Why did you do this to me? Why do you give me these visions of Broadway? But then I can't dance. So how am I on Broadway? And now we see how that's happening. It's manifesting. I'm manifested an incredible global event that I'm producing. And here's the next episode. It should be landing very, very soon, the show as well. And a bunch of celebrities are coming on and a lot of beautiful things are manifesting, and I'm doing God's work. And this is one of them, is tattletaling. Tattletelling, I'm telling on you. That's my song. It's a jingle. You can sing it. That can be the confession song, the Me Too movement song. I'm gonna tell on you. I know what you did. But man, I'm glad I didn't call her. Man, am I glad I didn't call her. So I remember even telling her, I'm not so much into the modeling. It's more of the acting and the singing. And she was like, well, if you change your mind, here's my card. And that's when she was pushing the picture, I could, you're stunning, you're this, you're that, Yeah. Oh, and she asked me how old I was. How old are you? I said 15, whatever age I was. I think I was 15, 14 or 15, whatever age I told her. She was like, oh, wow, you look so much older. You must get that a lot. Totally gaslighting me. And I was like, yes, people think I'm 21. And no, they don't. They don't think I'm 21. Trust me, when I was 15, I looked fucking 15. I look back at pictures and I'm like, the people who wanted to rape me must have said, oh yeah, you look 21. That way that's your confession to the officer. Well, she looked 21. But you know what? This is the sticky red tape that Epstein and all the victims and Ghislaine and everyone else is going through, is they tricked everyone. They tricked everyone. Everyone they have shit on, they tricked into their little web, into their game. And this is, this is my deposition. This is my confession. This is my story. This is the truth. So help me God, of what I remember of when Ghislaine Maxwell tried to recruit me from the Jupiter Gym when I was underage and not even 16. And she asked how old I was. She did not care. She mentioned I looked older and that it wouldn't be a problem. And she said, you look over 18. And basically, as far as we're concerned, you're 18. So she has an MO. She knows what she's doing, folks. She knows what she's doing. So I'm really, really glad to share this story and talk. I haven't been naming names other than Ghislaine now that she's literally in the news and in big trouble. And, poor Donnie doesn't remember her. I think we were neighbors. I heard we were. Wow. When we dump that swamp, we're going to find another alligator in there. And it's him. It's an orange one. So I keep my eyes on God. I keep my eyes on Frank. I only listen to them. I tune everything else out. I tune in once in a while just to see what the collective is having to deal with. Those listening to the podcast, you're not seeing the face I'm making. But you should probably tune in and see it. So, I wasn't sure if I was going to tell this next story, but I don't know, maybe I'll tell another episode as well, because I wanted to go through a couple of notes too. God always has me have some notes, and I wanted to get to them. But, I dated a big shot associated with the Miami Dolphins. I'm not going to say a name, but someone who owned them's immediate relative under them knew that I was 17 and did not give a shit, and was in his 30s. And I have so much proof. He wrote me letters on his letterhead and then signed them and sent pictures to an underage child. So that's fun. That's fun. And I have so many copies of that proof too. So, and so many people have seen it. So it's not even a secret. So I'm looking forward to telling that one, because he was a billionaire, and my dad was like, you're not. First of all, my dad let me go on a date with him because he was one of those, before I sang, he was like, you're gorgeous. How old are you? And I was like, I'm a child. And the headshot you're oogling over, I was 15. So, and I think now I was 16 or 17 at the time that he was hitting on me. And I told him I was. And he said the same thing Ghislaine said, you look so much older. That's a nice excuse. It's a nice excuse. I was so confused, officer. She looked so much older. We understand. She does. It's terrible. It's a terrible thing. You completely were tricked by her. Yay, that's fun. So anyway, I don't know how much I'm going to talk about him just yet, but I thought I blew it. First of all, I'm so glad my dad was like, if you're going to go down and see him, because he was trying to help me with my career, and invited me to come down to Fort Lauderdale and go to dinner with him and his bodyguard. And my dad was like, the only way you're going down there is if you take my car. And my dad had a Porsche. He was like, don't let this man think that there's not people with money looking for you also, or that care about you. And because I had a little junky car at the time, I had like a 1985, 86 Honda Prelude. And he was like, my dad's like, you're not taking your car. And I was like, yay, I get to drive your Porsche, score. And he was like, be very careful. But he was like, I want you to show up in my car so that he does not take advantage of you. And he still tried. So we went to dinner, and he kept pushing my head in his crotch and trying to get me drinks. And we were in the back of a room of the dining place. So we were like in a private area with his bodyguard. It was just the three of us, these two men and me, and I'm a child. I was a child. I was not 18. And these two men, one of them a billionaire and the son of a billionaire, he's trying to get me to drink. And I keep telling him, no, I have school tomorrow. I have school tomorrow is what I told him. And he didn't care. I remember I was wearing that day too. I had a fucking turtleneck on. I think it was the summer. It was the fall. Oh yeah, because it was the beginning of the Dolphins season that I sang for. I'm giving you a lot of clues right now. I'm going to tell you. So I'm sure there's other accusations. That's the thing. I'm not the only one he's done that to. And he's probably gotten away with it. So more on that story. Let me give you a little bit more. So I wouldn't go down on him in the restaurant. I kept giggling and saying, stop, because I didn't want to have to claw his eyes out. I don't want to have to hurt a dude. I just don't. Please don't make me. And finally he decided, he was like, my bodyguard can take you back to your car. And I was like, cool, because I'm sick of, being forced down your pants at the restaurant. And I've told you now repeatedly, and now you're just drunk and really obnoxious, and I'm sober and still going to school tomorrow. So I get home, the bodyguard drops me off back to my car, and I get home. Again, me being so dumb, I'm like, I'm going to get in the car with these two men. Yay. But I was so naive. I knew my dad knew where I was at least and knew the address and everything. So I felt safe enough to be like, okay, I can trust this guy. And maybe he is just trying to help me and not just generate me. But that's just me being hopeful and pretty ignorant. So I get home and I think I'm never going to hear from him again because I didn't let him rape me and I didn't do anything. So I was like, all right, cool. Not hanging out with that billionaire and he's not going to help me. And that's done. So, and then like 2 days later, he calls out of the blue. He calls me up and he goes, hey, I want to see you again. I had a really great time with you. And I was like, what? Okay. I don't know where you were. And I was blown away by him saying that. And then he goes, I want to take you on my private yacht to a private island in the Caribbean for the weekend. And I was like, what? 16, 17-year-old me is like, yachts, islands. Yes. I mean, my dad had a boat. We used to go to the islands. I had enough money that I had a fraction of his lifestyle. So it wasn't like, oh my God, you have a bed? It was like, oh, that sounds like fun. Cool. Like, what would we do? And I even said, what would we do on the boat? Where are we going? What's the agenda? What's the agenda? So he goes, oh, well, we'll get massages. Oh, those fun massages. I can't tell you how many times I've been raped being tricked into a massage. A lot. That's another tactic. And yeah, I wanted a massage. And if I wanted my pussy massaged, we would have discussed that. But we didn't. And it migrates to that. And these are these tactics that we have to talk about, this rape culture. Consent is hot. Asking for consent is hot. You don't have to trick a girl into submitting to you. It's really sad. It's really gross. It's really disgusting. Karmic energy, too. Like, you're not going to be rewarded for tricking a bitch. God mad at you. I promise you. I promise you. So back to the dude. So I go and I go, there's no way in hell my parents are going to let me go with you. And he was like, ask them, see what they say. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm not going to ask my father when you're on the phone. He'll kill me. Like, he will never be cool with putting him on the spot like that. He will ream me out. So I go, well, let me talk to my dad. He goes, ask your dad right now. I'll talk to him. And I was like, my dad will fuck your shit up. I'm like, my dad's from fucking Hollywood, born and raised. He doesn't believe in anyone. He thinks everyone's full of shit. So my dad will see right through you. I'm like, yeah, that's not a good idea. You'll never get past my daddy. Never get past my daddy. So I told him I'll handle it. Let me see. So I get off the phone. I go out. I tell my mom first. My mom's super excited. She's like, yes, go. Have fun. You have my blessing. Oh, mother, love you so much. And then my dad goes, not a chance in hell is a billionaire taking my underage daughter into international waters. And it suddenly was like, yeah, thanks, Daddy. You're right. You're right. And then it was all of a sudden like, yeah, you're right. The guy was like a creep. And here I'm all, massages and scuba diving and yachts and, a nice time, a relaxing, nice time, not being raped. So I'm glad we had this talk, folks. Thank you for letting me speak. Not that you had a choice. I was going to talk any fucking way. But so this episode's done. It's in the can. So relieved to say it and be done with it. I'll never forget that woman coming in. Her energy was so fucking disgusting. And I'm so glad Jesus and God gave me the crosses that I bear, the pain and the surgeries that I went through in infancy and the cursing of my ligaments and my dislocating knees and all the limitations, physical limitations it put on me. I just did not understand for the longest time. And now I'm like, it saved me. It really, really, it saved me. And I'm so grateful. And that's it. So that's this episode. And I'm trying to think what I'll prelude to the next time. Oh, you know what? I wanted to read some notes really quick. So let me leave you with some notes from God. So let me open up my Trello board. Hello, Trello. You want to open? Shall we cooperate? Why aren't you doing the things? Hello. Thank you. My goodness. Unbelievable, these apps. They're wonderful. I love software. And all the software apps that are out now, they're so much fun. They're so great. God, they're so helpful. I love Trello. I learned how to podcast through Trello. I bought a Trello podcasting course, and it was so easy to learn that way. I really, really liked it because it's just step by step by step. I don't like all the fluff. I need just step by step by step. And if I need more than that, I'll ask. But I was able to completely finish it and figure it out and produce my own podcast. And then I'm going to teach people how to show up and do their own podcast, because I love teaching that too. Keep it simple. Keep it very, very simple. And keep it with a Facebook filter. And it's even more simple. All right. So these are some of the things I wanted to mention that are in my notes for the podcasting thing that they dropped in, I think last night. So one of the things that came in was liberate the fuck out of yourself with a self-produced podcast. And that's what I'm talking about now, of self-producing yourself, so I have 3 areas of focus for my mentorship coaching stuff. It's heal, grow, and thrive. The heal is the trauma series, where we kind of talk about and transcend traumas, identifying them and relieving them. And if you're a sexual abuse survivor, one of my courses is feeling safe with intimacy, because I was frigid for 13 years of my 16-year marriage so far. And I mean, even on our wedding night, I was freaking out. I'm terrified of my husband. That was awful. And then on our anniversary, terrified again. Like, I remember just having panic attacks leading up to our anniversary, knowing that I would be literally obligated to have sex with my husband, regardless of how I felt about it, according to God. And that was a lot for me to swallow at the time. And you know what I did to help? I brought kittens. My husband, on our 1-year anniversary, booked a hotel room at Disney at, what was the name of the resort? Wild Resort, something like that. But it was such a beautiful resort, and very like Swiss Family Robinson suite feeling, like these little bungalows. And we had a private little bungalow that he was so romantic, so sweet. And we had this private little bungalow. And we brought kittens, because I was hand raising kittens at the time. And it was like divine that I adopted them at the time. I don't even know why I brought them in at the time, but they made me feel safe enough to make love to my husband that night. I want you to see the aftermath of rape. This is it. This is what I struggle with. The man I love, I'm terrified of, because every time I close my eyes, I see the men who raped me. I see the man who raped me when I was 9 immediately. He's always the first one. And that's really, really hard to deal with. And I'm being incredibly vulnerable right now, expressing and showing all this to you. But I want the world to see what this does. It's destructive, it's disgusting, it's vile, it's evil, and it's a sin. And I don't consent. I did not consent. I never consented. I wanted to save myself from my husband. It's disgusting. It's vile. It's evil. And it's a sin. And I don't consent. I did not consent. I never consented. I wanted to save myself from my husband. And the man that stalked me wanted me to be his wife when I was 9. When I was 6, that's when it started. So my eyelashes are probably going to fall off at this point. We're all done here. Oh, what the other things I want to say? Oh yeah, Jesus was like, you can name this one. Let's talk about rape, baby. And I was like, you're so funny. I know we need to talk about this, and it's not fun to watch me melt down, break down, cry in front of everyone. But we need to talk about this. And I usually talk about it with a lot of humor to get through it, because it does this otherwise. And so the humor is a huge mask. Remember this face. I love you all. And I am good. I am very, very good. I'm in such a good place. God has owed me so big, and it's such a beautiful thing. And for him to manifest this opportunity for me to self-produce on my own podcast, A Confession of a Woman in High Power that is wanted for treason against the planet. I mean, the aliens are fucking pissed off at her too. God is pissed. She's going to pay, and everyone's going to pay. And we're going to have a big old talk, Earth. A lot of people involved were tricked, and that's why they're scared to speak up. And I get that. I get that you were tricked with your programming, that it's okay to trick a bitch, and that we like it, and that we like just being surprise fucked. We don't do that. One time I was tricked into a massage and the man sodomized me accidentally. My clothes just kept coming off as he was massaging me after we were, not dating that long. And I even told him, I wanted to go slow, several dates in, and I think he was sick of the slow. And I agreed to let him give me a massage because I was afraid to cuddle with him. I was afraid to do anything with him. All he wanted to do was move so quickly. And I don't understand this, that I have to have sex with you ever. And I don't know why I don't get to wait until I'm comfortable. But I cannot tell you how many times I've cried after a man has pushed me into submitting. But I've cried every time. And I've even told them my story, that I was sexually abused as a child, molested by a grown man neighbor, and that it triggered that. And that's usually when they would comfort me. Oh my God, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Whoa, what did you just do? And then that's the gaslighting of, then they think they're your hero. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you went through that. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. You're so here. Let me rescue you and let me fuck you next. So, all right. Well, we're done with this episode. I'm glad I got this out. Life is really, really good. I'll see you guys next time. So I'm going to record the next episode and keep this train moving forward. And I'll see you guys soon. We got the Brave Hearts for Broadway show. I'll tell you guys more details of that probably the next episode. Oh, you know what? I should probably interview the producer that I'm co-producing the show with. I think that'd be really fun. Oh, and we could talk about how we divinely met and how we divinely manifested and came to having this production come together. So that'll be fun for the next time. So I am done for today. God bless you all. Thank you again for joining me with another episode of Let's Be Frank with your host, Molly Sky Brown. I appreciate you guys being frank with me today. Thank you. If you'd like to work closely with me, you can opt in the show notes to an email sequence that will go right out to you with my complimentary 5-day manifesting mastery course. There I teach you the basics of all things manifesting and how we're always manifesting and why it would behoove us to know what we're doing.